radio and television, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. Awesome. Okay, so Jay, what an honor. Great movie, Dinner for Schmucks, incredible, very much exciting.
Wow.
Excited. What do you know about Minnesota?
Almost nothing. I would love to visit sometime, but I actually know very little about it. The
So you're going to
Vikings
come
are there.
visit now?
Yeah, I
Yes.
might have to visit. Yeah.
I say you play instead of Brett Favre. That's what I have to say.
I'm about. I was going to say I'm about as old as him, but I'm so much older.
Well, I have to ask you, what made you have to do Dinner for Schmucks?
I love the characters. I always come at comedy from the characters first, and I just thought they were kind of unpredictable and weird and hilarious all at the same time. And I just thought the clash of the two characters, especially with Paul and Steve playing them, seemed suspenseful. I always like it when there's a little more suspense than you might expect from a normal comedy. So I don't know, I just fell for it. Fantastic.
It's very much stories within stories within stories.
Yeah.
Is that a trait when you look at your directing style, or was this something that you really focused on in bringing Dinner for Schmucks to life?
Well, I like farce. French farce especially always has a lot of layers of misunderstanding, and so there have to be secrets, stories that you're hearing along the way that sort of inform other predicaments as you go. And Meet the Parents was like that, and when I saw the French film this was based on, I loved how many, again, layers. I just think the audience is smarter than sometimes filmmakers treat them, and they want to feel busy. Their brains are busy, their funny bones are busy, if you can, their emotions are caught up in it too. And so when you have a project that works on all those layers, it's just more fun. Fun.
I really love how much, you really looked at putting into this picture, like you said, the clash, the intelligence factor, the French adaptation. How were you exposed to that?
Well, it came to me from the producer Walter Parks, who sent it over and said he thought it was hilarious. It's a very successful French film, and I think in America, when I grew up, people watched foreign films, but I don't think people do very much anymore. And I just thought it was a story worth not so much translating as trying to riff off of, because we're calling it inspired by more than based on, because we started with the concept, but we went so much into other territory with actually adding a dinner, which wasn't in the original, and casting people like Jermaine and Zach Galifianakis and Jeff.
Let's talk
Jeff
about that
Dunham.
Jermaine character for a moment. Animosexuality.
Yeah.
How in the heck did you come up with, I want to add this bestiality, animosexuality into Dinner for
It has
Schmucks?
so much bestiality, but I guess he does have that bent. But he sees the world as being, he sees the possibilities of going back to a kind of primitive state of being, and that animals and man and nature could thrive more when they're, like connecting back to our more bestial side might be a way to improve life. He sees it through art. He thinks he's God's gift to art. I thought that character's pretentiousness and his entitlement to just shock you. I'm so good that I deserve to shock you and make you feel really uncomfortable. That, I think he's another schmuck. and I think we're all schmucks. That's his form of schmuckiness. My schmuckiness is I feel like I'm able to entitled to try to make you laugh, and that I might be funny. That's a ridiculous delusional premise to start from, and I loved him being that delusional. It's really, most of the characters are deluded in some way or another, and their delusions are what make them dangerous to each other.
So this is a release of all of our inner schmucks, basically.
Yes.
It's being on the screen, actually going
That's what I think.
ego exemplified.
Don't you go to?
exploitation.
I get invited to dinners where I'm sure I was the last one invited because someone else canceled.
And that's a sucky feeling, right? Exactly. And you're really not wanted, but you're there to just
And then
make
afterwards you go, what did I say? Oh, what an idiot! So I think that's relatable. People understand the fear of being the secretly tagged schmuck.
Well, and I also wanted to ask you, just as far as being able to break that topic of schmuckiness and raw ambition and selfishness of going, I want to exploit these people to make me laugh, and these people have these talents.
Yeah, that's a cruel thing. Yeah, and I think that was a good. It exists. People do have these things. There were. I remember hearing about fraternities, in the South, where they invite women and compete to see who brought the least attractive woman. I was like, that's the meanest thing I've ever heard of. But you in this case, this guy's could fall into that way of thinking that he's entitled to make fun of people, but Paul Rudd, but Steve Carell's character so turns his life upside down and teaches him that even someone like himself who you might misjudge has a heart and a soul, and you can learn from them, and everybody's got something. And I thought that it's not meant to be a message movie, but because it's mostly just meant to make you laugh, but if a little of that came across, it wouldn't be all bad.
It is, and it's awesome, and I can really say you walk away going, don't underestimate the power of people that sit before you and walk past you every single day in life.
When you go on YouTube and you see those poor schmoes who are doing whatever crazy thing is going on in their YouTube video clip, don't assume that's all they are.
So the tongue swallower that won her trip here. Okay, you're just getting over my own
That's
schmuckiness as I'm going. I don't want to see you swallow your tongue. Thank you, Jay, tremendously,
Sure.
very, very much. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks
We
for having me.